Hi all, it's Brad with Pro Painter here. I I'm doing a video, a part B video of the in the tools series for brushes. Um, because a viewer had a couple of really good questions, and I wanted to take the opportunity to just do it right here in a video. And so the questions are one second here. First of all, I think it's pretty common knowledge that I'm right-handed, but everything appears in a TikTok video backwards. I think people are aware of that, but it's I just watch my videos sometimes and I look like a lefty, and it seems weird. Anyway, one of the questions that she asked was, how do you specifically how do you hold a paintbrush? And great question. These angular brushes make it a little simpler to imagine that the tip is like a pen or a pencil, and that is the defining part that you're kind of laying down into your work, and like you would putting a pen to the paper, similar thing. So rather than these block brushes, you would, because it's the same on either side, depending upon which way. So, I mean, here, this would be the pencil tip side, that would be your point of reference. And so for the angular, that would be, the angle would be your upside most of the time. But see, so how do you hold it? I've had occupational hazard staff that have given us training in the past, call what we do a precision grip as opposed to like a strength grip and that sort of thing when it comes to biomechanics and the body. So this is like a precision grip, and that's why, because we would have these people help us with, like, because we would get like fatigue and joint pain in the thumb from the repetitive motion of doing this precision grip for multiple decades, and doing what we do. But these brushes, when we're actively working, they are ready for rotation up or down. See, because of the angle and the use of this, that's how we hang on to it, I guess. And it's like chopsticks or something. You just get so handy with them. But they are at the ready to be turned at any given time, left or right, or up or down. But this is basically how we hold them when we do our thing. Up, down. Depending upon. I hope that gives you some visual about how we hold it and do what we do. The old on running joke that us painters used to have in the past is like, yeah, because when I was a youngster, the precision grip thing reminds me of that I did want to be a brain surgeon, but at that time I just wasn't willing to take that kind of a pay cut, so I stuck with the painting. That was ha ha ha, that was the joke. Anyway, precision grip versus strength grip. Yeah. While we're talking brushes, before I get into the second half of her question, which was bristles, we'll get into back in the day when I used to use a lot more oil-based brushes, oil-based paints. This is an old varnish brush, an old Worcester varnish brush, and you can see how beautifully crafted this thing is. Varnishing back then would have been the old conventional long oils that were so they were meant they'd take all day to dry and overnight. They were for conventional long oil. Used to refer to like just the soak adhesion. It just took that long to soak in and form a film, as opposed to the nowadays acrylics. You know, they flash off and dry up, and you can handle them practically in an hour or so. You know, not ideally, you wouldn't want to be handling them, but you leave prints. But this beautiful old brush is just dense, and the design is, see, these are made black. They're black china bristle. You know, this one is a big old 4-inch club. You know, but these are made of pig hair from China. They're typically black, but they would bleach them blonde like this so that they would, if a piece did come off and it stayed in a clear coat, it would just kind of lay there and blend, whereas a black bristle would show up on your nice new woodwork that you just finished, you know. But that was the idea behind it. But a couple of old oil brushes, you know, where, you know, I don't know that I've really even gotten into any oils other than some industrial products last summer, like macropoxy and high solids urethane to paint this loading ramp thing at work. But most of what we work with now is all the acrylics, and so that's where the nylon and polyester blend. You know, most of the pro tools that we have here are like a blend of polyester and nylon. You know, it just depends on it's a blend of a whole bunch of different thicknesses of bristles, and for purposes that, you know, the polyester is stiffer and gives you some rigidity and some strength, and to put pressure and lay down the material, but at the same time, you know, the nylon is to be smooth and limit brush strokes, and so it doesn't look like a whisk broom, you know, so your finish looks nice. And that's the other main idea, is that the tool is making it lay down like it's smooth and nice. That's the goal. I would also, how are we doing for time? Yeah, I would also, remember the economy brush that I had last week? One thing I'm going to mention is, okay, yeah, so polyester, this thing is 100% polyester, I'm certain of it, and the bristles are all very thick. But one of the things that let's say, this would be, I found this in between brush too, it's called a Project Select, and it actually has a wooden handle, you know, actually has a decent wooden handle and okay ferrule on it, and but this is what they would call, I would say 90% of homeowners probably grab this middle of the road type of brush. It's a nylon poly. This is probably 100% polyester, maybe even too. They probably might not even be nylon in here. But the key here, I got to get through this before this 10-minute video is up, is flagging the tips of our bristles for the reasons, as we said, so that things work nice and smoothly. But nylon is better like a candle wick, where it will pick up and hold material, and also works better for material distribution and the use, you know, like an old fountain pen, you know, distributing the ink where it needs to go. And they have a lot of purpose and a lot of reasons for crafting these things this way, and they're well thought out, much more than people would imagine. They just think it's this hairy club just to get it from the bucket to the wall or whatever, but there's a lot of thought that went into these things over many years, because this came way before a roller in 1918 or something like that. That's when the roller was introduced. But these brushes have been around and thought about for millennial, you know, or a long time. So I think I got to wrap up part B here of the tools brush series and get this back to our viewer. But thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next one, everybody. Take care, keep her tight.